and welcome to episode 10. Yes, we're on the 10th episode of Creating Your Career with Marla J. Alberti. I am super excited, as I am with every episode, because I am interviewing another fabulous cousin. I have a family of fabulous people. Another fabulous cousin of mine, Latrese Ferguson. Say hey, everybody, Latrese.
Hi, everybody.
As you can see, she's a ball of joy like I am. Okay, so you know, ladies and gentlemen, I like to talk about how I know the person and how we got into things. Well, of course, Latrese is my cousin. So she's a cousin of mine on my mom's side of the family. So my mom's side of the family from Alabama and all that. So that's, and I'll let her go into a little bit more detail about that in a minute. But as you know, I love to read the bio of the person to give you a little bit of background, and then we'll jump right into the interview, okay? All right, so Latrese Ferguson is a multi-talented, I love that, learning professional, often described as real, down-to-earth, and I can agree, easygoing and fun-loving. Latrese believes the mantra, to whom much is given, much is required, and that is so true. She has been afforded many opportunities in her life to have equipped her to lead the dynamic team of learning professionals at Georgia Institute of Technology, which is what we know as Georgia Tech. Throughout her career, she has worked for the federal government, CIA agency, a large world-class consulting firm, Booz Allen and Hamilton, I've heard of them, as well as a nonprofit world, Teach for America, and we're very familiar with Teach for America. Latrese's expertise in instructional design and delivery, project management, quality management, and people management. However, her first love is standing in front of the audience, facilitating insightful discussions. She says to dig deep, as that is where your aha moments will come from. When she is not in front of the classroom, delivering engaging learning opportunities, or busy leading her team, you can find her on play dates with her little baby daughter. Well, she's not a baby, but little Bethany. She's so cute. Or on big girl dates with her husband, TJ. So let's welcome Latrese. How are you doing today, Latrese?
Thank you. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'm doing very well.
Good. So let's jump right in as I try to keep it at a 30-minute time slot for people's time. All right, so Give us a little bit of background about Latrese, a little bit of brief history before we jump into the career aspect.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I'm from a small town called Tuskegee, Alabama. A lot of people have heard of it or equated to like the Tuskegee Airmen or Tuskegee University, or unfortunately, some people think about the Tuskegee syphilis story. But at any rate, I'm from a very small town called Tuskegee, Alabama. My mother and father, they still live there. My brother lives in Montgomery. So I'm one of two kids. It's me and my brother. And I just enjoy life. I try to stay active in my community for my health. So that kind of thing. I have a husband, as you heard in the bio, and a daughter, Bethany, who's 7. We just came from her soccer game earlier today, so she's into soccer. And I just like watching movies, watching Netflix. I like learning, reading, podcasts. I'm really into podcasts right now. And hanging out with my friends. So that's a little bit about me. I don't know what else y'all want to know, but let's start there.
That's perfect. And as you can hear, I don't know if you hear it, everybody, but as you can see, that's a lot how I am. Just hanging out, having fun, living life to the fullest. I love how Latrese lives life out loud, and that can be expressed in her career. So talk to us about that. Because your bio says multi-talented learning professional, which is a career in learning and development. What is that? What type of career is that? What do you actually do? Tell the world.
Okay, so on a day-to-day basis right now in the current job that I'm in, I work at Georgia Tech, so I work in the higher education space. And I've been at Tech for about 6 years now, and I really feel like I found my home as it relates to industry, right? So I'm a learning and development professional. So my job really, in my mind, as I describe it, it is helping professionals create behavior change, right? So we have this thing that we call interruptions. And we believe that, when you're at work or you're even personal relationships, sometimes there are challenges or there are new skills that you're trying to learn. And there's oftentimes this interruption that happens. So like something doesn't go as well as you want, you didn't get the result that you want. And it's in that moment that I believe that that's when the teaching can begin. And that's when you can make a change if you have the right tools. So my job is really to equip people with the right tools.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys know I can talk. This is a talk show, so y'all know I can talk. But I'm not gonna talk. So I am gonna talk. But that is so good. I love that interruption because you guys know, I'm in the career development, training and development field as well. Been in training and development over 15 years. And so that is so good. I love to learn myself. So when you have those interruptions, and let me just sidebar that for a second. So you have those interruptions. Can you give an example of what an interruption may be that someone may
Yeah.
have? Yeah.
Yeah. So in my current role and previous roles and how I got here later, but in my current role, I'm responsible for professional development for faculty and staff members.
Mm-hmm.
So I work at a very large, world-renowned R1, Research One institution.
Yes.
And you can imagine the types of people that sort of institution attracts, right? So very smart, brilliant people. They do research out of this world. There's oftentimes when I'm in class and I'm like, well, you know what we're talking about is not rocket science, but right across the street, they probably are literally talking about rocket science, right? But the interruption happens. So say, for instance, I'm working with a faculty member who, you know, is a lecturer and his or her method of delivering instruction to students might not be as effective as they want it to be, right? And so an interruption may be they get their student surveys back and the student surveys say, I couldn't understand nothing you said, you were a horrible instructor. And so that's an interruption, right? And so if you have tools, you can take that feedback and you can improve. But oftentimes if we don't have tools, we get very defensive and we don't improve. So it's a matter of providing the right tools at the right time when people are ready and ripe to hear it, listen, and to take action.
Oh my God, that was so good because you're right. That's one of my career goals is to become a professor. So I am so glad that I have that training and development background because you're right. Because just because you're smart at something, and this has been a misconception, especially in the corporate world, just because you're smart at something, just because you're a SME, just because you know something, doesn't mean that you can teach it to everyone else.
Yes, indeed.
That is a huge misconception in corporate America where you're great at this. You're great, whatever, loan officer, you're a great banker, but that doesn't mean you can go train everybody else to be a banker because like you said, the surveys will come back from the students. In the training world, we call them L1s, level 1 evaluations. They do come back and sometimes they're not pretty. So your job is, your team is to teach these professors and these lecturers, hey, we know you're intelligent. We got that part. We're not taking away, but let us show you some presentation skills of how to present this information to these college students who are just coming in the door who don't understand the language you're talking about.
Exactly. And that's one side of it, right? So then in the other side, in the higher education world too, there's also this competition to be department chair or school chair. You have faculty, staff members who lead professionals, who lead a team, who's responsible for growing and developing that team. And a lot of times, just like professors, people believe that you can just manage people. Like there's no skill required for it. And until you have that first interruption, that first difficult employee, that first, person that's very challenging, do you realize that, oh, I might need to get some skills in how to do this, right? How to have difficult conversations, how to prepare succession planning, how to prepare people for, growth and stuff like that. So it's that side of it too. So in the higher education space, you got the faculty members and you have staff members, and their needs tend to be similar, but they believe they're so different, which is fascinating to me. But that's how it goes.
That is so true. That it's the same. It's the same. Because I had that corporate America background. Again, just because you're good doesn't mean that you can manage people. You're great at this. You're great at this baking job. You're not an accountant. You do good, but doesn't mean you can lead a team of people. And they don't get the skills that they need. So your job is really twofold, and that's a lot. So being that you're in the training and development field, and And I myself, we're both in the, we, shout out to ATD, Association for Talent Development. We get a lot of information from them. How did you get into this career? What's your career path? How did you create, or you're creating your career? How did this even happen?
So that's very different. It's an interesting path. So I'll tell you as quickly as I possibly can. But so I'm from Tuskegee, as you know. Each summer, my parents, one thing I can say about my parents, even though they may not be, you know, college educated and have all these, you know, fancy degrees or whatever, they made sure that their kids had opportunity. So every summer I would go to Clark Atlanta University for summer programs, right? And so normally it was like a math or a science kind of thing. You got to stay on campus, so it's very interesting. So anyway, I ended up going to Clark Atlanta University and majoring in, drum roll, computer science.
Go figure.
Right. So I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. That's another tip. Like for kids, like find something that you're passionate about and do that. But anyway, that's a side note. Anyway, so I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. My mom said major in computer science because that's where the money is. So I did that. You know, I hated it the whole time. I wasn't good at it, but we don't quit in my family. And you got only 4 years to finish this degree. So you're going to keep on going with this computer science and get it done. And so after I graduated, I got a job in Washington, D.C., working for the Central Intelligence Agency, worked for the federal government. So that was an opportunity of a lifetime. One, because I got a security clearance, which in D.C., you can write your ticket anywhere when you have a security clearance. But my job, I was a local area technician, so a land tech. So basically, you know the person when you're at work and your computer stopped working?
Yeah.
Call them.
Okay.
And they come fix your computer. That was me. And the irony of that is I can't do nothing with computers right now. My husband is into computers, like he's an engineer, and I can't do nothing. So I always throw my degree in his face, but it don't matter. I don't do no computer science. So anyway, a big project came, and I don't know if you remember back in the day, I'm dating myself, but back in the day when computers were green screen, do you remember that before we had like the GUI, the graphical user interface? It was like green screen, right? So my job, the project that I was on, was to change all the computers over from this green, whatever this version of Windows, I don't even think it was called Windows, but we were going to Windows NT. I just remember that. Mm-hmm. So I had to go to everybody's computer and say, okay, you used to do this, and it used to be in this place, but now it's in this place in this new system or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I remember asking my boss, like, why do I have to do this like over and over and over again at everybody's machine? Can we just like get a room and put them all in the room and show them one time? And he was like, if you could pull that off, go for it. Great. So that's what I did. And then I realized, okay, I like teaching. Like that is what I like to do. And if I think about it, like when I was young, you know how people would say to kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? Most kids would say a doctor, a lawyer, something like that. I used to say I want to be a superintendent of schools, which is random. I don't know where I got that from, but I knew it was something in education. But see, I couldn't major in education because I didn't think teachers made enough money, right? So passion versus money is a big deal, and people need to really be thinking about what's important. But anyway, long story short, that's how I started teaching, right? So I was at the agency for about 5 or 6 years doing projects like that. Then I left the government and went to work for a consulting company, which is what people typically do if you live in the DC area. You work for the government and you have a clearance, you can go to a consulting company and make double the money doing the same kind of work. And so I fell into that cycle of, so I traveled a lot. I was doing then mostly technical training, right? So because I had the computer science background and I had a little charisma, people would allow me to train. And so I would do technical training for a long time. And then while I was at Booz, they had this internal training program that they called adjunct instructors, where you could do some of the new hire training and that kind of thing. So I did that as an adjunct instructor. I still had my projects that I had to do, but I was allowed to do that. And then Ed Cohen, who is still a mentor to me to this day, gave me the opportunity to join his team and do that full time. So I did that for a while. Then I met my husband. I got married. I was living in DC. I wanted to be closer to my parents. They were getting a little older. So we ended up moving back to Atlanta, and I worked for, some consulting companies here and there here. But then I landed at Teach for America. And at Teach for America, I was doing the same sort of instructional design, teaching, preparing core members to go into the classroom. So I did that for several years. And then I ended up at Georgia Tech. So I think what happened is Teach for America, we used to house our summer session at Tech. And one thing that I can tell you beyond any other skill or anything else, no matter what career you're in, is relationships are paramount, right? So you're, Marla, a great networker. And I mean, I know you know the power of a network. And so, I met people, I talked to people. There was this job opening at Tech. I was like, hey, I don't want to be on the road anymore. I don't want to travel. I'm about to have this baby. How can we figure this out? And so I ended up at Georgia Tech.
Wow.
That's
okay.
the short version of a very long story.
Right. No, but this is why I love doing this show, because people create what they want. And I don't know if you were listening, everybody, but did you hear how she was in the IT field? She said, wait a minute, there's got to be an easier way to do this. You created a class. You were given the freedom to do so. And guys, take this advice. If you have an idea within your workplace or in your wherever you're doing, entrepreneur, whatever you're doing, ask the person. She went to her manager or superior, said, hey, I got an idea. Can we do it this way? He's like, fine. Most leadership and management, fine. You got an easier way to do it, then let's do it. And that skyrocketed from there. So you came up with an idea, you created it, you taught the class, and then opportunities came available. And as you know, I said every show, there's a theme. You just went out there and you did it. I just talked about this in the last episode, in the episode before that. But you just went out there. You just went out there and said, hey, there's got to be something better to do. And then I'm going to key in real quick how you talked about relationships. You have to be able to get out there and network and talk to people, because nothing happens outside of a conversation. Nothing. Job openings, careers, things that you want to do, travel, nothing happens outside of talking to someone. So as we know, we don't know it all. So for someone that, because you and I both know, Latrese, training and development is a huge field. I mean, ATD, the Association for Talent Development, at their conference has over 20,000 people come from all over the world. It's one of the largest conferences out there. What are some tips that someone needs to enter into this field? Skill set. What are some, because you already said relationships. So what's another skill set someone needs to develop to enter into this field? Because people come to me all the time. I want to be a trainer, Marla. I want to be a trainer. Like, my story is unique too. I just didn't walk into it. It was a way I created my path. So give us some tips and some interest points of how someone can get into this field.
Yeah, so if you are, let's say you are in a place where you're trying to create like you're trying to understand what educational tools do I need, right? So my master's degree is in adult education, curriculum and instruction. So that's one thing that you want to do, particularly if you want to go into the higher ed space. Education truly matters. Now that's in higher ed, right? Yes. Now in corporate America, I didn't have to necessarily have a master's or a bachelor's degree in order to do what I do. So I want to make that distinction. I think also on my team, in my space, we call it a training generalist, right? Mm-hmm. Which I don't know is the best. It's hard for me to recruit people with a training generalist kind of role, because we're looking for a unicorn, literally. We're looking for people who can develop training, who can facilitate training, who can measure training. We want you to be able to do it all. Yeah. Now, typically in this field, you kind of go in one or two different directions, right? If you want to be a facilitator, this is what happens, because I'm on campus and everybody, I don't want to say everybody knows me like Bane or whatever, but because of the work that I do, I'm public, right? People know who I am. And they see it and they look, oh, that's so fun. I had such a good time. You hiring? I want to be on your team. I'm like, first of all, one, I'm not an easy person to work for because I have a standard of excellence that is very high. But two, it's not all fun and games, right? You have to be very deliberate. So there are paths. If you want to be a facilitator, you can go and you can work for like a Covey, Fierce, a company that has content that they just want people to deliver it, right? There's typically a time where you have to pay some money to go and attend their sessions, understand their frameworks and all their, material and stuff. And then if they're on a hiring spree, then it's almost like an open call. You go there, you show that you can deliver the material, and you are a facilitator. Mm-hmm. The drawback of that is that you're facilitating somebody else's content, one. Two, you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and that can get boring for some people.
Yes.
Right? Even though each audience, each class, each session that I hold, if I'm doing the same content, it takes a different light because I'm a facilitator, not a lecturer, which is also. Yep. Okay, so that's one path, so facilitator. Other path is like a training developer. If you want, or they call them instructional designers in some places, right? So that's the person who wants to actually develop the content. Yes. So you need to have like really good research skills. You need to, be very detailed. You need to have good writing skills. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're designing what will be brought to life either online or in the classroom. Mm-hmm. If you have a technical background, we have on my team, I have an instructional technologist. Okay. And that's the person who takes the content from the designer or developer or, instructional designer, if you want to let's go with that just to keep the language consistent. From the instructional designer, and that content based on that designer's recommendation, they will say, I think this content needs to be delivered in person. Mm-hmm. So if it's going to be delivered in person, it goes to one of our training generalists and they facilitate the session. If it's something that can be an online module, a computer-based training, a lot of people do that now to try to save money and things like that. So that goes to our instructional technologists. And there you need to have like HTML coding skills. You need to know some of these softwares, Articulate Storyline, Captivate. There's all kinds of quick, rapid development tools out there now that you can just learn and be proficient in that. And you don't even have to have a degree to necessarily do that. So those are some of the paths that you can take. But really and truthfully, it's really, I can't preach it enough. It's about relationships and knowing somebody who's willing to give you a shot. Yes. Give you an opportunity, and then you take that opportunity. And when you get an opportunity, my mama always told me, I tell my daughter, my mom said soar. That was her thing. When you get an opportunity, you soar. But I shifted it up a little bit. I say shine. Girl, you get one opportunity to shine. And when you get that opportunity, you better knock it out the park. So that's the kind of thing.
Oh goodness, guys! This is thank you, Latrese. What Latrese said was so powerful, and so I wrote down so much. So let me try to pack it all in here before we get to our fun question. So a couple things she said. So there's training and development is a huge field. It's so broad. And so I'm so glad you brought it down to size. So you have your facilitation where like you said, you have your Franklin Covey, AMA, Fred Pryor, places like that where they have material already packed up. You're not necessarily training them. You're facilitating. Basic facilitation is guiding. That's really it. So I'm guiding. I have material here. I'm going to guide you on how to do it. I'm going to show you basically how you should work it, and you go do it. That's basically facilitation, right? Then you have your training and development design. Those are people who want to create the training. And then sometimes they will, like you said, sometimes you look at that unicorn. Sometimes they'll go out and actually teach that particular training. And the training involves some facilitation too, but you're actually digging into the actual meat of the content. So much for facilitation, you're not digging that much into the meat. They're kind of leading their own a little bit, but with the training piece, you're digging into the meat to learn and understanding to change a behavior, basically, within the classroom. And then the third piece I love is where you have the tech side, which is like you said, I am not ashamed. Okay. I am not a techie person, but I've had to learn some stuff. Okay. And that is that technological side of what's behind, like you said, the coding. And listen, guys, you don't always have to have a degree. Now, like Latrese said, if you want to get into the higher ed piece, obviously it's education. They're going to look for the degree. That's just the mantra. Just follow the mantra. But again, everyone has their own story, how they created that. But if you want to do coding, or like you said, there's different programs, Articulate, Storyline, Captivate, you can just read books on those and attend ATD. I'm going to keep shouting them out. They offer tons of classes for stuff like that. So that is really good. So I want to say one thing here that Latrese mentioned. When you said earlier, you said when people come to you on the campus and they're asking you, oh, I want to get into this, I want to get into that. You said something key. You said that you're not the easiest person to work for, so you better come with it. Let me tell you, everybody, I'm so glad she said that, because you know what that's called? That's called self-awareness. That's called I know me, okay? And this is what I expect as a level of excellence, okay? And I'll tell you this story real quick, guys. Latrese and I were scheduled to do this talk show, this recording a couple of weeks ago, and I was not myself. I could have did the recording, but I was not myself, because I know I am the boost behind the activity of the show. So if I wasn't my 100%, I thought about that excellence. If I can't bring excellence, I'm not going to do it. Okay. Yeah. So I love that she said that. When you're out here looking for these positions and looking for things, think about your level of excellence and know the difference between your passion and the money. So we talk about that all the time, right? Passion and money is two different things. You follow the money. Yeah. Okay.
But if you follow your passion, yes, the money
will passion though, doors will open. It's like, I don't know. You can call it magic sauce. You can call it God. You can call it whoever you worship. You can call it whatever you want to call it.
I call it Jesus.
Okay? You can call it whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what. It's the truth. Okay? When you follow your passion, you can look at any motivational speaker out there, Les Brown, Tony Robbins. They all say the same thing. Gary V. Listen to all of them. Follow your passion. Everything will open up for you. So this is so good. So basically, I want to thank you so much. Before we get into our fun question, though, where can people reach you if they have questions or concerns? And I'm going to give these links in the description down below. But where can people reach you if they want to talk to you? If they want to talk to you about Georgia Tech, because everybody loves Georgia Tech, you know. So, well,
it's a great place to be.
Yeah, it's a great place to be. You know, not everybody, but you know, I get it. So, but tell everybody how can they reach you?
So you can email me. My email address, you'll put it in the comments. Feel free to email me. It's latrese.ferguson@godtech.edu. You can email me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on all kind of social media, which probably, to the detriment because it's not necessarily professionally related. But I'm also on LinkedIn. I do a lot of sharing about what my team is doing on LinkedIn. So I'll definitely share my LinkedIn profile. Contact me that way. I do a lot of speaking. I spoke last year at ATD at the conference that Marla's talking about. This year, I'm speaking at an organizational development conference at Baylor in May. So I'm available. If you're looking for me, you don't gotta look that hard. You can find me. If you really want the information, call Marla and she'll give you my information.
Exactly. And that's why I do these shows, because I'm a firm believer, and I say it over and over again. Forgive me for repeating, but I do. The sky is big. I'm a firm believer, and there's enough room for everybody to do what they want to do. There's something you want to do.
Can I say one thing, Marla? Because I put the 3 categories, but I didn't say learning leader. Because if you want to lead a learning team, that's another place you can grow into. And that's, I facilitate still now, but I lead a team of 8 people.
Wow.
So I often have job opportunities. If you're good, contact me about that as well.
See there? It's all about connecting, like you said, relationships. And like I said, the sky is big. There's room for everybody. Connect with people. Nothing happens outside of a collaboration. Nothing happens outside of a conversation. I'll never forget Steve Harvey. I'm a huge Steve Harvey fan. But Steve Harvey said, Every business he does is a collaboration. Everything. Everything whether it's failed or not, is a collaboration with someone else. Because you don't know it all. You don't know it all. So it's best to get with people and get together and learn this. Oh, I love it. So Latrese, tell the world, what is something that we don't know, a fun fact about Latrese that you can share, that you want to share with us?
A fun fact about Latrese. Well, when I first read that question, I thought about how when we were little, I don't know if you remember this, but my father, he is the #1 relationship connector. Like, he's a model for that. And back in the day, you don't do this so much now, but I think there's something that can be learned from it. We were in Tuskegee. Marla, where were y'all living at? And
we were in Jacksonville, here in Jacksonville, but I visited every summer. I was there every summer.
So I recall, like, we would pop up wherever y'all are, like we would visit. Yeah. But my dad is a visitor. Like, he will, like, on Saturdays on the eve, like, they used to stop by people's houses, you know, just like say hey or whatever. And there's some houses we were excited about going over because they had kids there. There are other houses where we were like, oh my, me and my brother, that is, like, we got to go over their house. But anyway, from all of that, even though, you know, I don't really want y'all popping up at my house and anybody else, like, call me first. But there's something about like connecting, like that whole art of connection. Yes. And so the fun fact about me is probably that I just love to connect with people. And I try to, because as a mom, as a working mom, as a wife, time is limited. So I try to, like, marry everything up in a connection. Yeah. So by that, basically what I mean is, I know I need to work out, right? And I know I like chilling with my girlfriend. So at 5:00 every morning, we get up and we meet at the gym. That helps with accountability to go there and actually work out. But it also gives me time to spend with my girlfriends where I don't have so much time to be able to do that. And so I tell that whole story to say, I think I learned from my dad, like, this whole idea of how important staying connected to your family, to your friends, like, just making connections and making them meaningful is, I guess, a fun. I don't know if that's fun, but it is fun. I was trying to think of something like exciting, like, ooh, I jumped out of an airplane, but I ain't that.
I love about these shows, and I will keep them this way. I love organic and authenticity. Being real, being open, telling the truth. And what you just said is the truth. Connection is not, it is a unique thing because everyone doesn't do it. Everyone does not do it. Some people, and I'm not talking about introvert, extrovert, because introverted people can connect too, as they can do it. It's all about knowing how to get out there and talk to people and not being afraid. I'll say this, one thing I learned from my mom, in the Walmart line, Publix line, she would always talk to somebody in front of them. And I use that metaphor to this day. Act like you're talking to the person in front of you. Where you got that from in your basket? What aisle was that on? You know, and just talk to people. You never know who you're talking to. That's why you never judge a book by its cover, ever. You never know who you're talking to. And I have met connections. I've gotten clients. I've gotten a lot just by talking in a Walmart line or just a line at the tax collector's office, even believe it or not. You know, you just never know who you're going to be talking to. So
it's so important. Because I used to be like, why is my dad?
Oh, it went low. Say it again.
I was just saying, like, back in the day, I used to be, like, annoyed by it. Why are you talking to everybody? And now my daughter, she's like, when I'm talking to random people, she's like, do you know them? I'm like, not yet. But the thing of it is that you're modeling a behavior. I see it in you, cousin. You are a phenomenal connector. This chick she don't meet a stranger. So, you know, I think we were blessed to be able to have good examples to model these behaviors for us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And Latrese, thank you so much for your time. Hope you guys got something out of this. Stay tuned, of course, for episode 11 coming up the next month. Have some more dynamic speakers lined up. Latrese gave her information. Feel free to reach out to her in the links below. And we will see you guys next month with Creating Your Career with Marla J. Alberti. Bye, everybody. Thank you.